football. It's personal between me and you, and I'm going to do you some serious harm, you big stiff idiot.
The untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing games are missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. All right, so I wanted to discuss this news, this fight, this potential matchup that's being in the works, because it turns out that the fine folks at PBC with Al Heyman, they're looking to line up the Mexican monster, El Bandera Roja, David Benavides, to take on none other than the fighting pride of Providence, Rhode Island himself. You know, the former U.S. Olympian, the guy that's been avoided by a lot of people in boxing, guy who's had a weird career, guy that's been in search of that big fight, but a fighter that I still feel, even at his advanced age of 35, is still, you know, a very formidable fighter and one of the hardest guys to defeat in this sport. And that's Demetrius Andrade. So, very intriguing matchup. I like the fight a lot. A lot of people are coming out and saying that David Benavides is ducking David Morrell Jr. And if you feel that way, I ain't gonna argue with you, because, you know, especially if you're an American, because, you know, that's your constitutional right. You can have your opinion. Doesn't make it correct, but you can have your opinion, right? I personally don't think you can say Benavides is ducking David Morrell Jr. if he's fighting Demetrius Andrade. Demetrius Andrade's a damn good fighter. Demetrius Andrade will present a massive stylistic challenge to David Benavides. And should Benavides get the win, it would hands down be the biggest win of his career to date by about 10,000 miles. No doubt about it. So I like the fight a lot. You know, now, style-wise, right? If the fight does play out, style-wise, let me just be honest. This is one of the matchups that, you know, maybe 2-3 years ago, I may have felt a bit different about this fight 2-3 years ago. I know a lot of people could probably go on YouTube right now and pull up old videos of me walking through my neighborhood, you know, saying things different than what I'm about to say now. But, you know, I'm going to say it here because boxing is ever changing. Things are ever developing. And I always, regardless of how I feel, I always reserve the right to change my mind, right? And my thing is this. Andrade is 35 years old. Andrade, by the time, you know, they're saying they're going to fight in November. So what, that's going to be like a 10-month layoff. It's not, you know, his customary, you know, 14 to 18-month layoff. But, you know, it's still a bit of a layoff for Andrade. And he's 35 years old. If you go back and you watch the Desmond Nicholson fight, you know, his legs were not the sturdiest. And, you know, there's just, his legs, I think, in this fight are going to be a big factor. Benavides throws a lot of punches. Benavides is a high-volume punching fighter. Andrade is going to have to, as much as possible, keep the volume of David Benavides down and you know, dial back that punch output from Benavides. Control the range, smother him, and even hit, you know, get his respect. It's that. Listen, it's better late than never. He's 35 years old. It's been a tough, long, arduous job for Andrade to get to this point if they make the fight happen. But he's getting his chance to rewrite the whole narrative of his career, right? Like I was once a huge Demetrius Andrade, like, you know, I was pretty much on a one-man crusade for Andrade for, you know, 2021, 2020, 2019. It's many years here on YouTube that I fought that battle, and then I decided to kind of wave my white flag and just let whatever's gonna happen. When he decided not to fight, you know, Johnny Beck and Zach Parker, that's why I just drew the line, because I just felt like he wasted a lot of time. And truth be told, right, if he fights Benavides and he beats him, he will become more than likely Canelo's mandatory challenger, right? If he would have beat Zach Parker last year, he would have already been Canelo's mandatory challenger. Maybe already got the fight with him. Who knows, right? So you wasted a year to get back to the same place you were going to be at if you would have beat Zach Parker, and you're fighting a tougher opponent to do that. But I say that to say this. He gets a lot of flack, he being Andrade. He gets a lot of flack for not having a good resume. They say he's never fought anybody, right? He's never, you know, one of the biggest knocks that I hear, and this is a fact, he's never fought any world champion, a guy that was a current world champion or a guy that was a former world champion in his entire career. And Andrade's been professional for well over 10 years, more than 10 years. But let me remind you, because I was just watching this fight last night. I was just going back and I was revisiting this great fight that I seen last night, that I rewatched last night. between Johnny Tapia and Danny Romero. And for those of you who watched that fight, you guys know that was a huge fight, big rivalry fight. That was a battle of Albuquerque. They had to hire, a couple hundred more security guards just to police the craziness that was going to be going on that night. But let me be the first to remind you guys, the great Johnny Tapia, who's in the Hall of Fame, when he fought Danny Romero, that was his 43rd professional fight. Andrade has less fights than Tapia had when he fought Romero, but Tapia had never fought, just like Andrade, had never fought any champion, currently or former champion, going into that fight. But in that fight, he turned in his best performance, and it's a performance that's lived on. Nobody even realizes that fact about Johnny Tapia because that performance was that good that, who cares that he didn't fight a former or current world champion before he fought Danny Romero. He beat Danny Romero, a guy in Danny Romero who at the time, many people were regarding him as one of the top pound-for-pound punchers in the sport and a guy that was a legitimate, world championship, world-class, fighter, right? So I say that to say that Adrian with this one win can rewrite the whole narrative of his career. Now, Benavides, I feel like Benavides, we saw in the Plant fight that he can deal with, slick, athletic fighters. We know Caleb Plant's about as slick and as athletic as they come in this division. And, it looked a certain way for a little bit of time. And then it got to that point in the fight where Dave Benavides made Caleb Plant have to sit there and fight. And when that time came, Caleb's punch output dramatically dwindled as the fight progressed. Now, Andrade, I think, is a better fighter than Caleb Plant. I would still pick Andrade to beat Caleb Plant if they fought. Andrade, I think, is a lot more awkward than Caleb Plant. I think Andrade, even punching power-wise, my punch is harder than Caleb Plant, to be honest with you. It's just that power of his doesn't really carry past, 4 or 5 rounds. You see what I'm saying? But I think this fight will tell us a lot about Benavides. This fight will tell us if he's ready to for the big dogs, because Andrade is the guy that, Canelo himself for many, many years. I'm not going to hold it against him, but many, many years, Canelo didn't want to fight Andrade, right? A lot of guys didn't want to fight Andrade. Jamal Charlo didn't want to fight Andrade, So, great fight. I like the fight. And I'm not complaining about it at all. If I had to make a prediction on the fight, just being honest, I think Andrade is more than capable of winning the fight. It's not going to shock me if he wins. I think he can neutralize Dave Benavides. My thing with Andrade is I do question the legs. I do question how long will his power carry throughout the fight, because we've seen it with Andrade even in fights when he's dominating. When Andrade's been fighting the guys like Artur Akavov and Sulecki, he beats the brakes off him the first 3 to 4 rounds. It's an offensive explosion. He normally scores a knockdown, but then he doesn't finish the job. And then on top of that, he puts it on cruise control. Now, I'm going to expect Andrade to give every last bit of himself for this fight. I think anything he has left to give in this sport, he's going to give it in this fight, because this is his chance to, like I said, much like Johnny Tapia, when he had fought Romero, Johnny Tapia never fought no damn champion, past or present, going into that fight. And guess what? When the lights shine the brightest, he had a chance to really rewrite the narrative of his career, and he did it in a major way. And he built on that and continued to get some great wins throughout the duration of his career. And, he parlayed that into a Hall of Fame career. So I do think for Andrade, this could be his Johnny Tapia, Danny Romero moment. But I'll make it very known. A lot of the Andrade fans, because, I was very vocal about what happened with Johnny Beck and Zach Parker. A lot of the Andrade fans say, well, you switched up your return code, this, that, and the third. And if they want to feel that way, that's okay. I'm not going to argue with them. I'm not here to argue with nobody. That's your cross to bear. It's not mine. I love everybody. God bless everyone. My thing is, I'm rooting for him. I really do want to see him pull this out, because after all of the negative talk all these years, it'd be nice to see Andrade get his moment in the sun and beat a guy in Benavides who, quite frankly, I'll be honest, I'm not the biggest Benavides guy. I still think Benavides is quite overrated when it comes to boxing, but I just think style-wise, this is a bad fight for Andrade. And I feel like this fight could be very similar to, maybe Tim Tszyu versus Tony Harrison. I think it could be kind of like that type of fight. Because the legs aren't there. I think he could have a good 4.5 to 5 rounds. But when you get to those middle rounds and Benavides starts to up the pace, I'm just not the most confident Andrade. Who, by the way, look, the Andrade that fought Brian Rose and Willie Nelson, and even to a lesser extent Sulecki 4 years ago, I don't think he's that guy anymore. I think defensively he's been getting away with a lot of lapses in his last couple of fights. I was going back and I was watching some film yesterday. And the thing is, he can't really get away with those type of things as much as he used to because his legs and his athleticism isn't what it used to be. So I just, my heart wants Andrade, but my brain, my rational brain, is saying Benavides. So if it happens, great. I hope he comes out there and he wins. But I don't think it's going to happen, just being honest with you guys. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully it gets finalized because I do want to see the fight. But yeah, those are my thoughts on Andrade and Benavides in negotiations. If the fight does get signed, I will make a video breaking down the strengths and weaknesses of both Benavides and Andrade, how they can defeat each other. But until then, I'll leave you guys with, just with this little initial thoughts video. So yeah, leave your comments down below. What do you guys think? Who are you picking? You picking Andrade? You picking Benavides? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you guys take the time to subscribe. And like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me. But I'm just a kid from Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys. Thank you for watching another video on the untouchable True School Sports Empire. We're here at the Hatanaka Boxing Gym in Nagoya, Japan. And for more great videos just like this one, make sure you guys click right here.